All right, cool. So I started my fractional journey end of last year. I basically am a fractional CTO. And one of the big challenges that I run into as a fractional is you're jumping in and out of situations where you need to have an impact very, very quickly. Usually you need to build something or you need to provide the clarity so that something can be built. And I've kind of developed this approach that uses Agile cards to get context. I work with both technical and non-technical clients. So I have some clients who are highly technical, they're software engineers themselves, they need management support or product support, or they need something like that. This particular exercise works best with non-technical clients. This is usually like great for business people. Sometimes they've built some software before, a lot of times they haven't. And so this whole world is new to them. They don't really know how to navigate it. But usually they have, if they're trying to build a software product, they have deep knowledge of their industry, they know what they're trying to do, they know who they're trying to sell to. And this exercise is to extract that information, get a clear goal, and prioritize things. And do that as fast as I possibly can. So the Agile card exercise, the main reason I do this is to get them out of their normal communication mode where they're just stuck in their phone and they're in the mud of the day-to-day work. So part of my goal is to, get them away from their computers, get them away from their smartphones, get them just engaging in the ideas. So I recommend setting aside 1 to 2 hours for this. More is better. With certain founders where they're all over the place, you might need a whole day. But I try to do this with pen and paper in person, or if I can't do that, failing that, remotely over FigJam. So this is an example of what that would look like with a two-sided musical instrument marketplace. It's a world I know. I'm a classical cellist. So the first thing you do is you say, what are your user types? Like, who is going to use this thing? And you write that on the board, and you ask them to brainstorm the different types of people that might buy a musical instrument from them. So that might be new musicians or professionals or dealers or collectors. And every domain has this sort of like group of similar people that you're targeting. So this is your user profiles. But if you put it in front of the business person as who are you trying to sell to? What are the different people who are in your market? Usually they can answer this question. From there, you say, what do they want? And then going across, they are going to say, oh, they want this, they want that, they want the other thing. And you organize that with the user types. From there, you say, okay, what's must have, what should have, and what is meh that came out of the previous exercise? And you ask them to organize. And from this, you then basically recognize that only our MVP is must have. If it's not a must have, we're not building it. Everything below that, we're not even going to look at it right now. So as you're doing these things, there are some phrases that I have found help really speed things up. So does that mean that we also have X user type? Usually people will come up with some requirement that doesn't necessarily map, and then you have to dig into, okay, who actually uses that? So you may discover new user types as you go through the requirements gathering. The other one that I ask a lot is, hey, I understand why you as a company want that, but why does your user want that? And usually they don't. This is something that would be great for the company, but it's not actually something anybody's going to do. So we're going to waste a bunch of time building it. Throw it out. I also ask a lot of, hey, tell me more. I don't understand what, like that's surprising to me, fill me in type questions. That's really elucidating a lot of the time. The other phrase that I like is, I'm surprised by that prioritization. Why did you put that there? That's not intuitive to me. Because usually that'll show me where my mental model of their business is wrong, or show me where their business, they're not thinking properly about their business. The other one is, hey, I saw that X is common in your industry and you didn't bring it up here. Of course, you do your homework before you do this exercise. Why is that? Why isn't it in your roadmap? That's usually an interesting conversation. And the other thing is that usually they cram a lot of stuff into the must-have column. And so the question is, can we order them priority by priority? Are there any that you don't need at launch? Are there any that aren't necessary right here?
Using these to filter the must-haves, right?
Yeah.
As you're going through the things, these are the things you use
Yeah, so this is
What's another outcome of this?
Yeah, so that comes to the next steps, which is you take pictures of the board, turns into a requirements document. Usually this, the board is a facilitating thing, but the real value is the conversation. And then I take that and generate, usually like a 6 to 10 page requirements document for what they're trying to do, which is the like high level functional requirements. And then that turns into either a market search of like, hey, what could we buy that fulfills a lot of this? Or, okay, I'm going to take this to a development shop, or I'm going to take this back to the engineering team as this is the direction we're probably going. What do you think? And then the last thing that it does is it gets alignment with whoever's in charge on what are the key priorities. And then if they're coming back later with, oh, but we need this, but we need this, but we need this, then the conversation becomes, we agreed that this was the biggest priority, this was the most important thing that was going to move the needle. Has that changed? Has that shifted? Do we have, what have we learned that's indicated that we need to change our prioritization? And walking out of this, it's all documented. So people will forget, but now it's all there. So those are the outcomes. And that's what I do.
So what happens when work has already started and then that interruption happens? Or there is slight changing. So I mean, yeah, in Agile it's supposed to be agile and adjust. But sometimes it's I've written this code, damn it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think over my 17 years in the industry, I've just gotten so used to throwing things away.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to get comfortable with it.
Yeah, you
can't get emotional with it and say, oh, you know what? Exactly.
No,
right.
no. And so I think and that's actually something that I have to coach engineers on all the time.
Yeah.
Is they get fixated on, oh, we're going in this one direction.
Right.
And I've been that guy like many times in my career. But I think what I try and do is suss out, when are you actually changing priority for a good reason? And when are you just scared? When are you just like frustrated? And like, is there another reason that this is happening that we need to have a conversation around? Because sometimes the direction changes are logical and a result of new information that's come into the business that really does change business strategy. And sometimes it's just the founders got cold feet and you want to suss out, like, what is it? Where are we?
Right.
Why is this happening? And the next actions differ based on why it's happening.
Yeah, I've seen this a lot in smaller organizations that are less mature, and they're still trying to figure out product market fit sometimes. And my own organization was going through that, right? And okay, now what's priority du jour, right?
Yeah, and definitely I think the kind of pivoting you're talking about like happens less and less and less as you get into later stage companies.
Right, exactly.
I think what I see more commonly when I go into like post Series Ds is it's really hard to get people to break out of the mold that they're in to address the elephant problems in the room. So
it's two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, so I mean, that's worth saying is this exercise is really geared towards the smaller companies.
Yeah.
Like when you're going into a post Series D, at least if it's me, like usually I'm walking in knowing like I know exactly why I'm here. I know exactly the problem that they want me to solve. Usually this is way too expensive. And a lot of times they're looking for either somebody to help them build the case, or they're looking for like the push, the impetus to make change. But with smaller companies, it's, they tend to be more scatterbrained. And so a lot of times it's trying to get them to focus on something for long enough to provide value and create value for their customers. Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. So that's me, that's my information. I am booked solid. So I'm looking for business contacts. I'm looking for friends. I'm happy to meet all of you. And I'll yield the floor. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.